Well, good evening, residents of the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District and the businesses thereof too. My name is Brian Helmick. I am your fire chief of the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District, and welcome back to another evening of doing a Facebook Live, which is being also live streamed on Periscope and YouTube. I'm going to wait for a moment to make sure that we are streaming live, which I can see that we are on my own personal device. I'm asking if you're watching this, share it to those that you feel that this would be valuable for, as I do believe, like all the videos we've done of recent, is very, very important to the residents of our community. So we're going to wait for a minute to see how many people hop online here. Tonight, we are going to be doing a new video. I'm going to be doing a 3-minute video, and we're going to be discussing achieving a viable and sustainable solution for the fire district. So we're working to a point to come into ahead of doing a 7-video series. This is number 6 of the 7. And we'll be doing another one on the 28th, which I'll hit on here as we work towards concluding the meeting here tonight. But tonight we are going to be showing a 3-minute video on achieving a viable and sustainable solution for the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. And we will be providing the opportunity of a question and answer session as we go through. Looks like we're getting a good amount of people hopping on here. And again, please continue to share that so we can get as many people involved as we can. Also, those of you that are watching on YouTube, Periscope, and or Face page, start populating your questions that you may have for myself and or the fire district. It doesn't have to be related to the topic that we're discussing here tonight. Going back a little bit, since we have more people on, tonight's overall objective is to be able to continue to educate and inform the residents of Brentwood, Oakley, Knightson, Bethel Island, Discovery Bay, Byron, Marsh Creek, and Morgan Territory. We within the fire district have had a hard time over the past couple of years, and I can almost say decades, getting good reach and getting good relevant information out to you about your fire district. We do have some current challenges in regards to providing adequate fire protection to our existing residents, and we also have a growth challenge to provide continued and adequate fire service as growth continues. And so we may talk about that a little bit here tonight also. So those of you that are new, welcome. And those of you who have come back, thank you for coming back. As we continue to tell our story, anyone that has missed anything of the past, any of these videos that we've done before, you can go onto the district's website. And when you go on the district's website, in the very home, on the top of the page, it says it's fire season. When you click on there, you can watch previous events. In those previous events, you will find all of the Facebook Live events that we've done. You also find them on YouTube. And you also find the town hall meetings that we've been doing throughout our jurisdiction for almost 8 weeks now. For the past 8 weeks, we've been going out virtually due to COVID. And we've been going, we started in, I believe, Brentwood or Oakley, then we went to Bethel Island, Discovery Bay, Marsh Creek, Morgan Territory, back to Bethel Island. And the goal was to be able to give a state of the district and to also do a question and answer session. Tonight is going to be a little condensed. I have a very short amount of time tonight because at 7 o'clock, we are finalizing the last town hall event going through our community. And we are going to be speaking specifically to Byron and Knightson. And so all of the topics are generally the same, except for the community specific issues, because we do know that there is operational challenges and questions that are very specific to our community. Those of you that don't know, that are watching maybe for the first time, our jurisdiction covers 250 square miles, 128,000 residents. That increases to 155,000 people when you include the businesses, people that work in the businesses within our community. And so we have a very large footprint, and we serve a lot of people. And we're, again, trying to educate because we do have some service level challenges. This event is being recorded, and we all want you to start. I already see people populating some questions, which is great. Please continue to do so. But we'll have a hard stop here tonight at 6:50. So for some reason, as we're going through this Facebook Live event, and if there's still questions populating in, I got to transition into the town hall meeting, which all of you are welcome to. As we do the town hall meetings, we get through the same presentation, but we get to community-specific questions or challenges. And tonight, again, we're focusing on Byron and Knightson. But we're going to do a question and answer session into that may be relevant to the presentation we're doing and or maybe about the district just in general. So again, I want to thank you all for being here. Start populating your questions, and we're going to be showing the video here in a second. As I stated to you, is that we have 7 videos. So it started out as 6, but now we have 7. And historically, we gave an update on the COVID and the We Are Listening initiative that we did from late last year and early this year. And then we talked about response times in this second video. The third video was focused on firefighter compensation and benefits. The fourth one was the criteria to fix our problem. The 5th video was the thing about taxes. Tonight, we're going to be discussing achieving a viable and sustainable solution. And then on the 28th of this month is going to be the last Facebook Live event we have on this series, which is going to be the day in the life of an East Contra Costa Fire Protection District firefighter. It's a good series. If you haven't seen any of the videos, those are also on the district's homepage on the website. Please go back and watch them. If you want to see the question and answer session, I encourage for you to watch them too. So those of you that, again, that are new, I may be accessible to you. We will be sharing not only the district's information, but my cell phone number. And if you have any questions about your fire district, contact me directly. If I can't answer the questions for you, I'll forward them to the people that can. And we really want you to be engaged and informed all things about your fire district. So again, I don't take your time for granted. I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you find this information useful. And what we're going to do is I'll be showing the video here in a second about achieving a viable, sustainable solution for the fire district. Then I will enhance some updates since we've done the video, some things that are relevant today that maybe weren't then, because every day the district continues to move forward. And then we'll open it directly into question and answer. So share the event. I really do appreciate you being here tonight, and I really hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for being here.
Right now, the fire district is trying to put all viable options onto the table to be able to present not only to the fire board, but also to the citizens of our community. The challenge right now is for businesses and also for the residents is to make sure that they are informed so they can choose where and how they want to invest into their fire district to decide the service levels they want. It is going to take the businesses, it is going to take the cities, it is going to be taking the schools, it's going to be taking the residents, it's going to be taking all of us, doing our part to be able to provide adequate fire protection. It's our fire district, we own it. As your fire chief, I'm going to put what I believe to be the best service model in front of the fire board and ultimately in front of the residents. The fire district is going to be finalizing the processes to address our growth challenge with impact fees and district-wide community facility districts for growth. And the fire board will also be working on addressing our existing service level challenges with a voter initiative of some sort. It's important to stay engaged because the board will be finalizing how we're addressing growth, and they will be identifying how we're going to be addressing our existing issues of which our citizens are going to have to vote on. The challenges that we're having right now in the East Contra Costa Fire Protection District are not new. We've been challenged with these challenges for decades. We are on the eve of being able to finally be able to get a sustainable and guaranteed solution to be able to provide adequate fire protection within our jurisdiction. It is important that everybody stays engaged and is involved, because if we all do our part, we have the ability to correct a problem that they said many years ago is impossible to correct. It will take all of us, but it is capable of doing. The question is, what do you want to do?
All right, welcome back. And the video, this is actually one of the most relevant videos, I believe, to date, because a lot of the past videos that we have shown you, it provides content, right? It provides content to the struggles and the challenges that we have as a fire district. But this one really gets down to the brass tacks of really what it is that we need to do and why is it so important of making a decision moving forward as a community. And I don't say that lightly. And I want you to understand, when I say it takes all of us, it really takes all of us. When I came in 2017 as the fire chief with the authority of the fire board, and remember, I am just the general manager, I'm the fire chief, but they're, or the CEO, but they are the board of directors. They're the policy, they create the policy and the direction. I have to seek every step of support before we take it. And working in collaboration with them, working in collaboration with the firefighters union, we have built a very good team to be very dynamic, be very innovative, to overcome decades. When I say decades of problems, I'm not saying that loosely, I'm not saying that facetiously. We're dealing with decades of issues that we have been rapidly correcting over a 3-year process as a team. And so when I say it takes all of us, it really does, because everyone's got to do their part. That's number one. Number two is I need to make it also very clear that the fire district and the way of which we, the fire board, have been trying to approach this is a multi-pronged approach. You see, when I came in, it was always, don't put the problem on the taxpayer's back. Don't just have one solution to be able to fix the fire district. What is it going to take it to change? And we spent a lot of time, and I spent a lot of time observing as working from 2002 to 2017 in the agency, progressing through the ranks before I had the opportunity to be the fire chief. I was taking notes and watching what previous administrations or boards had done, things that worked, that didn't work. And we weren't here trying to do the same thing over again. We were trying to do something different. And so when we came in, and when I came in, and when I started working with the team, we were really looking at trying to find a way, a multi-pronged approach to be able to address a very complex issue. And that's where we are today. And so the updates I want to give you beyond the video, and I think there's some really key important points, because there is a point of where the citizens of our jurisdiction are going to have to weigh into and decide if they want to invest into the fire district. With that being said, I get criticized daily for lack of urgency. I've been here for 3 years. There has been no ask, and today there is no ask. And the reason being is that we're doing our due diligence. It means we're trying to do everything we can within our ability to work this system to make sure that we are running as efficient as we can, as sustainable as we can, correcting any record of the past that has disadvantaged us, that has put us into a poor position, realizing the things that are our responsibility, things we need to work with the citizens with, working with other entities that may have negatively impacted us. And we want to clean everything up before we ever make an ask. Secondarily is that we wanted to see what alternative means were out there prior to making an ask. And to that point is that today, 2020, I came in April 2017. We got a new elected fire board in 2019. So our work has been short. But when we came in, we had the tax revenue coming in from the property owners. That is how we were funded. That was it. Since then, the fire board has put many things in place. Not only do we get the revenues to fund a rural fire district, a volunteer organization. That's why we're at 3 stations. We have revenue for a suburban urban fire station because we're funded at a rural fire station, I'm sorry. So the fact that we are funded at a rural fire station, we did not put the appropriate mitigation measures to address growth. We have an existing deficit. And so prior to going back and addressing the existing deficit, the board has put mechanisms in place to stop the bleeding. We are right now in the implementation process of putting in what is called impact fees and CFDs, community facility districts, on all new growth. So when every permit is pulled to build a new structure, industrial, commercial, or residential, they're going to get charged a one-time fee that's going to go to build future fire stations and buy apparatus to directly address the impacts of growth. The properties that are constructed are going to have an assessment on it that is assessed annually forever. They'll pay for the ongoing operations for the firefighters. Those are community facility districts called CFDs. Placing those CFDs and impact fees on all future development will make sure that slowly over time, additional revenue comes into the district to build stations and to hire firefighters to be able to make sure that we're sustainable as we move forward. Historically, that was never done. We have a lower rate baseline tax because we had a lower level of service at the time. We're trying to increase service levels to be 24/7, 365 operations with career professional firefighters on all the time, and we're no longer volunteer. So the 3 stations, as we're sustainable, as I stated, we get a small portion of the tax. When it comes down to growth, we're putting impact fees and CFDs in place to address growth. So that's not only the tax, that's one. Impact fees and CFDs as 2 more funding streams in the fire district that did not exist. In addition, we established and built a fire prevention bureau, which we have cost recovery fees. And we also do cost recovery fees on other services where we can, to be able to do cost recovery through home insurance, vehicle insurance, and medical insurance. You're already charged for it. Many agencies don't collect on it, but we're trying to do our due diligence, get revenue through all alternative means, and we do it through cost recovery. We get our taxes, which we always did, but now we have impact fees, CFDs, cost recovery. The fifth piece is how do we take care of the existing service level deficit, because the mechanisms of CFDs and impact fees historically were not there. And the reason I highlight that is we have done many things to ensure that we don't go directly to an ask. That the fire board is trying to do everything they can to be a well-rounded organization before they make an ask. And I believe that the fire board has done a good job to demonstrate that. In addition, we are not leaving any stone unturned. And this is also what has impacted us on making an ask or even considering to make an ask. The fire district we're in the process right now, the fire board approved there to be a resolution to see if there's any financial benefits of doing consolidation with other organizations, specifically Contra Costa County Fire to the west. We're going to do a feasibility study to see what the existing revenues we have. Is there any ability for there to be service level increases with the revenues we have? If so, what are they? And if there is deficits not to do it, what are they? We're checking the feasibility of that. That conversation has been had many times before, many years before. The conversation is somewhat stale. It's something that we haven't discussed, at least in my time being here. We were always told that it wasn't viable, but I will tell you the district isn't who the district was. And the fire chiefs aren't who the fire chiefs were. And so I think it's responsible for me and also our counterparts to make sure that we have something tangible, a study that we can also place in front of the board to demonstrate that we kicked that rock over too before they make a decision to move forward. There's also a new discussion that has come up. You may have heard it, you may have not, but there's a new countywide sales tax that is popping up. That's called Measure X. Measure X is a half-cent county sales tax that is going to, if it passes, to benefit fire service, hospitals, and other community social services that are currently impacted due to COVID and otherwise. The district had a presentation today, which was recorded. You can go back and watch that. It should be up on the district's website in the next 24 to 48 hours. But the fire board looked at it and they actually endorsed Measure X, because they do know that the district knows that we have service level challenges. They know that Measure X it's non-specific. It's not guaranteed at this point exactly what. There's no promises because it's not a specific tax. It's a general tax. And when it's passed, the district wants a seat at the table to make sure that we can try to get as much revenue as we can to address the existing service levels we have. So if that were to pass, there's another potential benefit for the fire district, and the fire district is supporting it because we know we have a need and there's a means to it, and we want to have a seat at the table if it were to pass. We're also, just recently, if you hadn't seen, the district has been working with our retirement board. We did a video some time ago on the retirements within the fire district and the benefits of the fire district and being part of a defined pension plan. The district has been working for 3 years, and we found that within our retirement system, that some of the policies may have been at a disadvantage to us. We spent a year doing our fact-finding and research, another year justifying our position, and just recently we made an ask for them to what we call depool or recategorize how we're being done. And we were actually awarded, and we had a change in that policy. We know it's not going to be for another year out, but we know in another year that is going to bring in an additional $1.2 million per year into the fire district. And that's great because it takes approximately $4 million a year to run a firehouse. That's a good portion of a firehouse. But that's another demonstration that we have done what we can to find alternative revenue from changing things the way they were set up, trying to get additional revenue to be able to address the things that we have done. And we're also at staff level working on building a 1-station, a 2-station, and or a 3-station. What's called a benefit assessment. It's an added benefit that would go and be assessed on all city, county, school, resident, business. If you own a parcel, you'd be taxed. So it is the benefit you receive is the benefit you pay. It isn't just on the residential property owners, it's on all property owners. And whatever benefit you receive on that parcel is the benefit that you would pay to take care of whatever deficit we have. So the point I want to make is this, is that in 2017, we had 1 means of revenue coming into the district. Today we have 4. We have also worked to change our pension obligations to ensure that it is reasonable. And we have increased our ongoing revenue into the fire district of $1.2 million that will start in fiscal year 2021-22. So it's a year out for it to start impacting the district, but in years out it is going to. And these are many examples that we're trying to do our due diligence. We're going to watch and see how Measure X goes. If Measure X passes, we're going to see how it benefits the fire district. We are also continuing, we have a fire ad hoc with President Oftedal and Director Nash that is working with the land use agencies, the cities and the county, to see what opportunities present there. And obviously Measure X is a huge one. And we're going to see what all those conversations produce. And once they do, the district will have to assess and see what is the difference or what is the delta between what we need to have 3 stations and all these alternative processes to get 3 stations. So right now, again, there's no ask on the table, but it is critically important for people to understand what the district's doing, where the district is, and what the district's trying to do. And in November and or December, the board is going to process all of the work we've been trying to do and make a decision if there's a need to go out and make an ask or not. And what we produce is going to be able to define if there's a need or not, and the board also make a decision on what they want to do. So I hope that is helpful on reinforcing, again, achieving a viable and sustainable solution. This is all about making sure that not only do we have guaranteed revenue, but we have sustainable revenue to be able to increase 3 firehouses, to increase service levels, to make sure that we are able to answer the call when the call comes in. So I'm going to hit pause because we are very, very limited on time tonight. We have about another 30 minutes before I got to transfer to the town hall. But again, for the good of the order, if for any reason I got to cut it short, we will be able to transition to the town hall meeting and I address your questions there after the presentation. All right, so let's jump into the question and answer. So we're 3 stations. The question is, I believe you all can see, how many firefighters do we currently have? So we should have no less than 18 firefighters on duty per day, and today we have 9. So we have 3 fire stations. Those fire stations have a captain, engineer, and firefighter at each station. All right. So we have station 53, that is in Oakley. That's by Cypress and O'Hara. Station 52, which is on Balfour and John Muir Parkway, and Station 59 in Discovery Bay at Point of Timber and Bixler. We have 3 firefighters at each station, and we have 1 chief officer that oversees what they do. So we have 9 firefighters on per day. That gives us, so when you have 3 shifts, that gives us 27 firefighters. We have 3 battalion chiefs. That gets us up to 30. So we have half of the organization that we need. So 27 firefighters in total right now today, but we only have 9 of them on duty at a time. And to provide adequate service levels, we should have no less than 18 firefighters on any given day. On that point too, before we go to the next question, anyone that wants to know anything about the district's response times, our staffing levels, what's authorized, everything from my position to administration, to the fire marshal, the deputy fire marshals, which we currently have funded but not staffed. We have inspectors, we have administrative staff, our battalion chiefs, captains, and engineers. All that information, if you go onto the district's website and about the fire district operational reports, you will be able to find not only the personnel, but you'll also find the calls for service, the response times by different communities, how many times engine companies roll out, not only on a monthly basis, but annual basis. The operations chief, Battalion Chief Ross McCumber, presents this information monthly to the fire board and it is posted on our website. So there's a lot of good information on there for you, not only about how our response times, how automatic aid is, and also our staffing levels. Great information there. Great question. Thank you. Next one, please. We appreciate that. We appreciate all of our local businesses. What I'll tell you is because you say that, I'm going to take a pause here real quick to say a couple things. I want to let the community know that we feel the love and support in regards to donations and people wanting to help us and to bring us food. I had to make a tough decision some months ago in cooperation with the firefighters labor group due to COVID and due to many other things that we had to restrict donations. We had the Deer Zone incident and the donations were becoming overwhelming. They're almost becoming a problem, which is actually a byproduct of feeling the love and support of our communities, people wanting to give us one-time gifts, right? And so with that being said is that we had to stop it. In addition, I also want to state this. A lot of people don't know this. When you see your firefighters at the store, you see your firefighters buying meals, that's on their own dime. Our members work 48-hour shifts, so they're here for 2 straight days, and then they get off for 4. They usually spend a couple of those days on their 4-day actually recouping, getting their sanity back because we just get run so hard. But the point I want to make is, number one, thank you to all our community members. But number two is, when you see your firefighters out there, the district's not paying for them to eat. They're spending their own money. They're making their own meals, and they do that on their own. There's a misconception there because people think that's taxpayer money going into those events, and that's not true. So thank you for your support, everybody. Food Max 2. Thank you. Okay, so I hit on Measure X again. This may come in as I was talking about it. So again, what I would recommend is that everyone that's curious about the district's positioning on Measure X, go to the district's website. You can go about the district, and you can see when you go on to about the district, you will find a tab that says board policies, ordinances, past meeting agendas. So when you go about the district, it says board policies, ordinances, and past meeting agendas. When you go to the past meeting agendas, if you go to today's, you will find that there's going to be a video link, and you can watch. There's a presentation by the representatives that we had. We had Supervisor Burgess's office there. She spoke on behalf of Measure X to the best of her ability and what it can do. We also had other representatives of Measure X there to answer questions of the fire board. They did a presentation on Measure X. The board went through board discussion, and they approved a resolution to support Measure X. And so, again, I am optimistic. That's one of many things that we're seeking the feasibility for to improve fire services with East Contra Costa. But please go watch that and look at it. If you have any more questions on Measure X and or the district's positioning on it, give me a call. So, great question. We know Bethel Island residents are on our own for fire with 15 to 25 minutes. We have tried for over a year to get the community readiness group together. We have many residents that are committed, but the fire department drops the ball. I was working with Ross McCumber and now the fire inspector. We need to be prepared for wildfires, house fires, earthquakes, etc. It would be nice if we had your expert guidance, but if not, we will use Google and figure out on our own. The residents are, and I don't know what the remainder of that is. So, Lori, you have my phone number. You can give me a call. I'd be more than willing to have a conversation with you. I know you've been working with Chief McCumber and our inspectors. We are right now in the Marsh Creek Morgan Territory area trying to work and set up a community response team, a CERT team. We have never been restricted or against doing a CERT team within the Bethel Island area. There's actually classes offered all the time through for Bethel Island residents through not only the city of Oakley, they have them also in Brentwood. I think the challenge that we have very clearly is that the concept of a volunteer fire department is what's problematic. The district has essentially, we came from the volunteer system. We understand the volunteer concept, but it's very problematic. And so it isn't that we don't like the concept. We have worked the concept, and the concept doesn't work long term, and volunteerism isn't free. And so we are more than willing to work with communities. I do understand the response times within your community, but Marsh Creek Morgan Territory, respectfully, they have equal or even at times more delayed response times than the Bethel Island residents. And so we do want to provide adequate response times to our whole jurisdiction, but our resource issue is not just a Bethel Island issue. It impacts Byron, it impacts Discovery Bay, it impacts Marsh Creek Morgan Territory. And if we add additional revenue, we can open Station 55 that's right down the street. It's going to eliminate many of those issues. And so I welcome that feedback. But again, the volunteer fire department concept is one of which the district can't invest into because we spent years doing so, and it didn't produce. And we also found that we were competing with community college districts Everyone that we brought on wanted to stay with us just long enough to get experience to leave and get a job elsewhere. And we have alternative plans to be able to put additional personnel in the engine and be able to increase levels in lieu of volunteering. But if you're looking, again, there are CERT teams right now in Oakley, there are CERT teams in Brentwood. We're working on establishing one in the Marsh Creek Morgan Territory area. It's underneath the OES umbrella, the Office of Emergency Services umbrella. It's a federal program, works down to the county, to the local level. A CERT program is not, is doable, but it takes people going to the classes and being prepared and working underneath that format. I think that, to go back and again, to just stress the point, is there are certain things the district just can't invest into. And I understand there's frustration in that, but we do want to work with you. But again, I make myself available to you. I'll make Chief McCumber available to you. So let's continue to talk. Next question, please. I live down the street from the firehouse when house caught fire across the street in Deer Ridge. The citizens had to put it out. The fire truck was dispatched to the field on Vasco. The time firefighters got there, the citizens had worked to get it under control on their own. Thanks goodness, these firefighters need funds. Brentwood is growing. It should not be an option not to have funds for fire response. Thank you for all firefighters. So thank you for that narrative and that story. I bet you there's a lot of those within our jurisdiction. I think going back to respectfully to the resident in Bethel Island, they feel the same thing. You know, and that's the challenge here, guys, is that the frustration, and there's a valid, I want you to understand, I validate your frustration and your concern. I'm here working with the fire board every day trying to increase service levels. The service levels that we're currently providing are not adequate. The service levels we're providing right now don't meet the standards that we want. But right now we're doing everything we can with the revenues that we have. In Bethel Island area, we have another station built. In the Oakley area, we're working on building another station. In the Marsh Creek Morgan Territory area, we continue to work with CAL FIRE to staff them in the winter months to provide during non-fire season through an Amador contract, them be able to provide services in the Marsh Creek Morgan Territory area. So we're trying to do everything we can. But going back to the point, it is a revenue and resource issue. And without additional revenue and without additional resources, the situations are not going to get better. And so we can be creative with CERT programs. We can be creative with trying to respond the best that we can. And I understand the frustration. So if I'm coming across to where I don't sympathize and I don't understand, I do. I'm being consistent in regards to the specific questions, and that is where the district is. And we got to work with folks because there's only so much we can do. And so with additional revenue, additional engine companies, many of our problems go away. But that's the challenge of getting them. And I'm hopefully in the next 4 to 6 months, we're going to get revenue streams to be able to increase them regardless of the means. That's the goal. Next question, please. All right. Where does the money go if you guys get a ladder truck? All right. So what I'm going to try to, I may not answer it. Jake, if I get this wrong, ask the question again, please. So look, we're an independent special district. We are governed, and all the money that we have is very unique to our services. We do not share our revenues with the city of Brentwood, the city of Oakley, or Contra Costa County. We're purely independent. So the revenues that we receive through property taxes, through cost recovery, through impact fees, through our community facility districts, if we were to do a future assessment, that is a fire district assessment, it comes into us. And so we have finance meetings, which are available on the website. We do an annual budget, just like we did. We approved our last board meeting. And when we spend money to buy resources. So the fourth engine, the fourth station that we're building a station. We're working on it right now in Brentwood. It's station 51. That station is intended to be a truck company because we do currently not have a truck, which is for those that don't know, a fire engine doesn't have a big aerial ladder on top that goes anywhere from 75 to 100 plus feet to be able to reach multi-story buildings. We have to call through mutual aid. It means we have to ask other agencies to borrow theirs when we need them. We don't have them. And so that truck he's referencing is actually the next engine that we have, which is we want that one to be a truck to be stationed at 51. If we get funding right now, the next station with staff would be Station 55 in Bethel Island, because that's a constructed station. But a truck company, the next truck company is supposed to be at Station 51. Our revenues would go directly there. So it has to come part of our budgeting process, our capital equipment replacement plan. But when we buy a truck, that's where it would go, and it's actually Station 4 or 5, depending upon the order we can get them. Then one of the next two apparatus we need to get is a truck company. So stay tuned for that. Next question, please. How can citizens help get the votes needed to get funding? Any suggestions? So again, there's no ask on the table for the fire district right now. The county is doing the sales tax initiative Measure X, which the fire board again endorsed tonight. And so really everyone that's here, again, the reason we make these available is we get criticized all the time. The fire district has no reach. People don't know who your fire district is. They don't know what the problems are. They don't know what you're trying to do. You need to get information out to them. And so I'm hoping at a point where people feel like they see us everywhere, but I think the reality is many people don't even know we exist. Many people don't even know their fire service has any challenges, doesn't know if they have any problems. They don't know the name of their fire district. They don't know who the fire chief is, the fire board members are, where their fire stations are located. They just don't know. And that's my responsibility. And I take ownership in that. And I take responsibility in it. So right now, looking at, there's Measure X that is going that could potentially impact the fire district. The fire board in November, December, January range is going to be looking at everything that happens in November, everything we're doing up along the ways. And if there's any gaps to increase service levels, they're going to take action to do that. So the answer is you need to be educated and you need to be informed. And if I'm not doing a good job, or the district isn't doing a good job educating and informing you, we're asking for you to give us those questions so we can. So being engaged, sharing this information with other people. And when you start hearing that something's coming up that can benefit the fire district, encourage people to get into the know. And if they have hard, challenging questions, provide them directly to me. You have my cell phone number, you have my email address, and everyone's got to get involved. So getting educated and sharing the message of what you can do now. Next question, please. Are you getting mutual aid response from ConFire? We are. And that's one of our compounding issues. If you, again, go into the district's website, on the very top bar, you throw the website address up there again for these folks. On the very top bar, it says About the District. When you scroll down, it says Monthly Operational Reports. When you go into the monthly operational reports, it'll give you calls for service. It'll give you engine company rollouts, how many times each engine company rolls out. It'll give you response times by area. We break Brentwood into two areas, Brentwood West and Brentwood East, Discovery Bay, Byron, Oakley, Knightson, Bethel Island, Marsh Creek, Morgan Territory. It'll give you the calls they had that month, the calls and the response times, how many calls they had there in the previous year, and the average response time for the previous year. Going to your point, it also gives you the automatic aid numbers. It gives you the automatic, how many incidents we had that required automatic aid, how many units were assigned from either side, Contra Costa or East Contra Costa, and how many arrived at scene. And it'll give you the annual totals, and it'll reference it to the annual totals on the previous year. So the thing is, we lean on automatic aid a lot. And one of the problems we have, if you hadn't noticed or hadn't heard, is that in July, the district had to make a hard decision that was a multi-month, almost a year-long struggle that I had as the fire chief, of saying that we were going to be a defensive, means we're working with the outside-in organization, versus an aggressive interior attack fire organization is purely a resource issue. So throughout the county, all agencies send 5 engines and 2 battalion chiefs to a residential structure fire. That's a regular run-of-the-mill, room and content, a bed, drapes, not extending to the attic, staying in one room. It's something that we are really efficient at, but it takes 15 firefighters and 2 battalion chiefs to mitigate that. Due to our resource challenges and only having 3 engines, we're only sending 3 engines to a residential structure fire, which means our members cannot be as aggressive, and we cannot go and get the fire like we normally would like. We lean upon automatic aid whenever the fire doesn't stay inside the container, which means the house that's involved, if it's going to join additional houses on each side, we'll call for help. When they arrive, and if they know there's a rescue inside, they'll call for additional help. But if there's not a rescue, And if the fire isn't going to go outside the structure, our members are called to mitigate the fire with only 3 fire engines, which means they have to go from a slow exterior to interior approach, which, because time is our enemy and more time creates more property damage, but they cannot be overly aggressive. So not only is it a resource issue, but it is also an automatic aid issue. We have been leaning upon our partner agencies for a very long time, and they've been great neighbors. And historically, when it comes down to the automatic aid, is they have been sending us anywhere from 2 to 3 times to 1 automatic aid resources to us as we send to them. And the way that it works with automatic aid is automatic aid agreements are intended to be balanced. They're intended to be equal. Otherwise, there's communities subsidizing other communities. So in July, another compounding factor we had is our agreements, even though we were still only sending 3 engines, they were still imbalanced. They were still, again, still sending 2 to 3 to 1. And so I had to restrict, saying, listen, if it doesn't get outside the container, there's not a life safety, don't lean on them, because we do, when we need them, I need to know they're there. And if I can't balance out these agreements, our aid agreements can become compromised. And that's my job to correct, not theirs. And so due to the fact that we didn't have a resource, a solution in hand to increase service levels on our side and balance it out, I have to change our operations. So if you want to go on the website, it'll let you know how we leaned on them. But our automatic aid agreements are important, and we're doing everything we can to hold on to them. But just like our response times to Bethel Island and Marsh Creek and throughout our whole jurisdiction, even Brentwood, we're not making it to scene 25% of the time. 25% of the time we're getting canceled en route. So with that being said, is that we do lean on auto aid, but we have a resource issue. It's going to go back to that much time. So we don't have enough resources to do our job adequately. And yes, we use automatic aid, and it's on the website. Call me if you have more information on that. Next question, please. Thank you. Thank you. No, it was a team effort. I want to thank Cal Fire, Maragarinda, San Ramon. I believe you had units from Croc Arquines, and I shouldn't be listing names because I think every agency within Contra Costa County Fire Agency responded in to the Deer Zone incident. And Cal Fire, they did an outstanding job, and we worked in partnership with them. We're glad we lost no residents, and we had no injuries outside of, we had some firefighters that got injured, but no resident injuries, no properties lost. That was a major incident. We had about 6 incidents within our jurisdiction happening at one time. The Deer Zone, a couple of them went together, and it was a larger 3,300 acres out there. But we're happy that you were protected and everyone else. We thank you for working with us through the evacuations and repopulation. So I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So what would the cost be? The streamline a volunteer firefighter program to full-time, for example, back in the earlier days, if you wanted to be a doctor, you would shadow a doctor and learn the practice on your own, have volunteer personnel do most of the training, volunteer, then hire them and skilled enough. Yeah, so here's the thing is, it's not a matter, we don't have this streamlined for additional positions. So if you're going to be trained here, we don't have growth. And so the thing is right now is, again, what we found is we brought individuals in. We had a reserve program. I came from the volunteers. I started as a volunteer here in the 90s. I got hired here with East Contra Costa Fire as one of the first employees in 2002. And I've progressed throughout the ranks working in this organization. So I came from that cut. I understand the volunteer program. I understand the services. And I was actually a captain and ultimately a battalion chief that oversaw those programs. We found, again, everyone that wants to become a volunteer wants to be able to be a career firefighter. If you go again on the district's website, you go to press releases, which is on the top bar also. And if you scroll almost to the very bottom of it, you're going to find a press release that we wrote some time ago on September 13th, 2017, East Contra Costa Fire Protection District statement on the utilization of firefighters. So the messaging has been standard since 2017. We had heavy recruitment. It cost us a lot, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to maintain those programs. And people would stay in with us to get a job. And then once they got enough experience, they would leave. The community college districts are doing the same thing. But the community college districts also provide the opportunity for districts to partner with them. They will hire them. They will equip them. They will train them. This is the community college districts. They will equip them. Then they'll put them on loan to us to get them through their task books. And once they complete, they can start testing for a job when we go back to the pool. So we get extra helping hands on our fire engines. We get a fourth person on our engines, and the benefit is we can have them work logistics and work in a very controlled environment and do certain things. But they go back into that pool. They carry the liability. They carry the cost. We sign off their task book. That's the gift. And we also get an opportunity to look at the new talent that's in the field. We don't have the ability to provide the oversight and be able to maintain that program and do it on the administrative side. So we have, in that press release, since 2017, our play has been the same. We know what we need to do. But we also demonstrates why we can't do a volunteer program. The volunteers weren't free. We were competing with the community college district, and it wasn't a viable solution of what we needed to do. So I care about those programs. Again, I came from that cut, but please look at that press release. It's valuable. We have 5 minutes left. I want to hit as many more of these as I can. That's right. We have 3 firefighters on an engine company. With that being said, is of recent, we have been trying to address attrition. So I don't have a lot of time to get into this. When I came in 2017, from 2012 to 2017, we lost between 30 to 40 firefighters because we had non-viable sustainable solutions. So all of the funding that we had was temporary. People knew we had a temporary position. They got a job, they got experience, but they were constantly testing, they would leave. There's a 5-year gap. We lost everybody. So that means that as people continue to progress up through the ranks in our organization, we had nobody to backfill. Last year, the fire board invested one-time monies of $1.9 million to hire 6 additional firefighters to get them trained, because we anticipated last year and in the upcoming year, we're going to lose 6 people. So we hired 6 people a year and a half ago to make sure that at the end of next year, they were fully qualified and off probation and a permanent employee of the district to be able to take care of that gap. So when I say that we have 3 firefighters on an engine every day, that is a true statement. That's what's called our baseline staffing levels, or minimum staffing levels. But you will find multiple engine companies having 4 people on them for training. And if those people aren't there in the day, there's still only 3 people on the engine company. We'll hold to maintain 3 people on an engine company. But for training purposes, you will find 4. So we do have 3 on each one. We do have grants. Grants are one-time monies too. So be careful about grants. When you get a grant, if you hire people on through a grant, when that grant dries up, those people's jobs also dry up. And the district had done that for years. We brought in grants. We had 2 years of funding. And then the people knew, hey, man, that grant's running out and there's not sustainable revenue on the other side. Now, with that being said, we just applied for a grant because we also knew, like we did 2 years ago, in 2023-24, we're going to have another attrition gap because we have lost people. And we know that people are going to be leaving. So we just applied for a grant for an additional firefighters. So when those firefighters come in, we will utilize those grant funds to get them. But by the time that grant ends, we know people are leaving our system. They'll fill those positions and we have sustainable funding for them. So grants work for one-time solutions to be able to build a bridge to something. But when that bridge of a grant goes to non-sustainable funding and it's a bridge to nowhere, it can be catastrophic. We're feeling the effects of it now. So we do utilize grants. Next question. So we have 2 minutes. No questions? We hit them all. All right. So look, if we missed anything, I want to let you know that we want to continue this conversation. We have another Facebook Live event on the 28th, the day in the life of an East Contra Costa firefighter. So that's going to be a very good one to give you the aspects of what's going on. I'll be able to give you a district update on what's going on. Please, again, share this, okay? Like the district's page. Continue to stay engaged on what it is that we're doing. And listen, all of you that ask the hard questions, understand, you know, if I'm either talking too fast or I'm not talking clear enough, listen, if I'm coming across wrong, but I'm passionate about this. I care about us. I want to fix this issue respectfully, just as much as everyone wants in this jurisdiction. I also want a no tax solution in this day. I would love to come back and say we fixed it. But we can only do what we can within our means. And so if folks feel that we're not trying to work with them or we're not listening to them, one reason I get sensitive is because I work every day trying to do that. So those of you that reached out, continue to reach back out on us, and let's continue talking. Let's continue communicating because it is important. Go to the district's website again as it's on the screen. This video will be up there probably in the next 24 hours. And we will continue to find you'll find all the previous videos, and even if you missed the town hall tonight, that will be on there too. And so right now it is 6:49, and I do apologize cutting this one short, but if you go on the district's website for the special meeting, which we're about to start here in 10 minutes, it is the Byron Knightson town hall meeting. We'll have board members, we'll have community members speaking. There'll be a presentation on the district. So if any of this stuff didn't make sense, I may hit it at the next coming meeting. And there's the link for it there. But it's on the district's homepage, which is eccfpd.org at the bottom at meetings. And you'll be able to click on that and you'll see the agenda for it. But for tonight, this is going to conclude this meeting, and I just hope you found it very informative. And I do sincerely appreciate you all being here. I feel privileged to be the fire chief of this district, and I'm here to serve you. So thank you again for your continued support. Please be safe, and look forward to seeing you at one of our upcoming events. Thank you.